All right, guys, so today we're taking a look at this Senville MiniSplit air conditioner we got. Now, this is a multi-zone unit. So multi-zone means it has two indoor heads. I have two different rooms I'm going to cool and heat, and one outdoor compressor unit. So one is going to be put on an upstairs unit, one's going to be in the downstairs, and I had to order an extra 50 feet of line set, which you have the option to do that. That's as long as we could get. So we have extra 50 foot. We've got our outdoor unit, our indoor unit, so we're going to get started with this. All right, so I'm up in my, this is kind of like a bonus room, upstairs room. This is where one of the head units is going to go, the indoor units is going. Just unboxing this. I'm doing this one first. I want to get this one mounted up on the wall. I'll show you where I'm going to mount that, but this is just kind of what's included in the box. Okay, this looks like instruction manual, remote holder, batteries. This is the smart control unit. This plugs into here so that we can Wi-Fi control it with the app. So there's a little adapter there. All right, we've got a remote. Check this out here on the box. It says this is a 25.5 SEER rating, which is pretty high for this unit. Now it has a template. This is helpful because it's going to show, we can just put this up on the wall. We'll know exactly where to mount the hole. So we've got to drill a hole, 2.5-inch hole. It can be on either side. We can move the line set from one side to the other depending on what's going to fit our situation. All right, there's this mounting. This is actually the air filter on top. It actually just looks like it's magnetic. It just sticks on top, so that's easy to take off and replace. On the back is our mounting plate. There's just a little screw holding it on there. We'll take that screw off, remove the mounting plate, and then we're going to set it up on the wall. This does give you a good template so we know exactly how big it's going to be, where it's going to go. Okay, this is the room that it's going in. This is above the garage. It's upstairs. It actually gets pretty warm up here in the summertime. You can see the ceiling is kind of, it's not a square. It's not a 90-degree ceiling. It's kind of tapered like this just because of the clearance of the roof. This is like kind of, I guess they call it a bonus room. But we have our exercise stuff up here and the kids play up here, and so it's like we need to have it cooled down in the summertime. So it's actually going to go, this needs to be on a flat wall. I can't have it like on the angled part of the wall of the ceiling here. It needs to be on a flat wall. So I'm going to put it right up against the wall here. I'm going to have it right about here. And because we have an angled ceiling piece above there, it's not a flat ceiling across. This is fine. This is plenty of clearance room to have it just about right there. On that metal bracket that goes on here, there's actually a bubble level, so we'll be able to get it nice and leveled. So what I want to do now, I just want to mark my studs because I want to make sure that where I have to drill this hole for the line set to go through, that there's not a stud right there. So behind this wall is actually attic. Behind and above is attic. So I'll be able to access this. Behind this wall, there's an attic access through the garage. I'll try to get some footage of that if it's not too dark up there. So the reason I chose this location is because this wall is like the west side of the house, and the equipment, the outside unit is going on the west side of my house. So I have to run almost 65 feet of line set through my attic, and then down the outside to the unit. So that's probably the hardest part. I had to get a 50-footer, and then I ordered, after I got everything, I kind of figured out how long I'm going to need it, and 50 feet is just not long enough. It's about 50 feet from here to the wall, but then it has to go down the wall down to the thing. So I got another 16-foot line set. I ordered that from Senville, and I'll be able to combine the two lines, creating about a 66-foot line set. So that'll run from here all the way to the outside of my house. So here's what I'm doing. What I did is I just lined up this plate with the template on this cardboard, and I actually just secured it into the wall with the cardboard behind it. The purpose of this is so I can get the exact location of the hole and make that a perfect in relation to the rest of this. So what I'm doing now is I just want to make, there's a bubble level here, so I just got it secured there, and then what I'll do is once I get the hole drill, I'll be able to take this out, remove the cardboard, put it back up. Okay, I have a piece of painter's tape under here so it'll catch the dust that's coming down. 2.5-inch hole saw. All right, I have my utility knife here. I'm just going to score the vapor barrier. I'm actually all the way, you can see the silver, that's a radiant barrier that I have installed on the back side of this wall just to kind of keep it cooler, but I have to puncture that. All right, before I put the unit up on the wall, this is the indoor unit. I have this propped open here, so lay it on its back, prop this open like I have here. There's a bottom panel right there that you remove. There's 2 screws you remove, and the panel just pulls up. You take it off, and then pull up on each of these tabs at the same time. This pulls up the wire box. Now there's I want to show you this here. There's a red and black wire that's connected. It looks like this is the wire you connect the cord into, but it's not. You actually have to remove this. On this tab it says, this is just for test, remove while installing this. So when we open this up, this is hooked into this little wire block. So we'll connect our power cable into here. So wire 1, 2, and 3 will go here. So we need to do this before we put it up on the wall. I need to get my wire. Actually, what I have to do is I'm gonna actually get my wire and push it through the wall. That way I can get it installed in my unit here, and then start working. And then once I get the mounting plate up on the wall, I'll be able to. The wire can go through, and then the tube and the refrigerant lines can go through the wall as well. There. Okay, so here I'm at. I have this sleeve through the wall. Put that sleeve through the wall. It actually doesn't go all the way through, but you can see that's kind of the outside. That's actually the inside of my attic. I've ran the power cable through there, down through here, and I'm going to connect the wires here. Now I couldn't understand in the instructions how they were explaining to hang this on the wall and then do that, because you've got to bend these lines out. So I'm doing it this way. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put the wires in through here and run them up into the inside, wire them down, and then I'll wrap there's like a tape, there's like a white vinyl tape that they have included. I'll wrap this power cable in with that. You want to make sure you have this drain tube on the bottom, that way that it's the lowest point so that water doesn't accumulate. You want to make sure there's no kinks or upward bends to it. It's going to want to flow downwards. So, all right, here's the other side here. So here we're pulling the wires through. Figure out which ones we want to do, 1, 2, and 3, and we'll make sure that we do the same color to the 1, 2, and 3 on the outside unit. And then the green screw, we'll just put this screw on the ground. All right, I have all the wiring done here. So they're actually these wires are actually labeled. Red is 1, the white is 2, black is 3, and then the green right here is to the ground, and it just goes right there. So you don't have to try to figure it out. They're already labeled underneath this jacket. There's a label, and then I just clamp the wire right here down. It goes out here, out to the back. All right, it's up on the wall. It went up there pretty easily. The top of it rests on the brackets, and then the bottom snaps into the bracket here. So to release it, if you wanted to move it out, just release these clips here, and then it will pivot upwards. And up underneath here, if you see, here's the hole. So there's some access here, and I'll probably fill this in maybe with some spray foam insulation or something to kind of seal up that hole a little bit. It does come with like a clay, which I'll maybe use on the other side, but I at least have that in. I've heard some people say that you need to drill a 3-inch hole. This is a 2.5-inch hole. That actually was plenty. Like I didn't need a bigger hole, so just doing what they recommended was fine for that. All right, the next step is to now work on the attic side, running the line, and I'll try to record as most of that, or at least give some information on that as well. All right, guys, up in the attic here, and here is the line set passing through the wall. So here's my hole through the wall. I have my radiant barrier here. It's coming through. And here's so what I'm working on right now, I'm working on this drain tube. So I'm going to take this drain tube, I'm going to extend it out, and I'm actually just going to run it through here, down over to there. My soffit's out that way. I'm going to run it down through my soffit, and then it'll drip into my gutter. And then the rest of the power line and the copper pressure tubes, refrigerant lines, I'm going to have to run way up there, 60 feet out that way, and I'll get to that in a minute. So I'm working on the drain tube right now. A drain tube, you see I just drilled a hole through there. It's coming straight out from there at a little bit of angle. It's coming out here. It isn't set up yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it secured to this rafter here. And then it's poked out through my soffit right there. I'll show you from the outside how that looks. Get a piece of like PVC pipe to kind of finish off the look. Put a screen over it so that way bugs can't crawl through it. Okay, here's the outside of the house. So this area up here is that bonus room I was at, and the attic was just behind this roof here. I'll try to zoom in here. So I drilled the pipe right through that soffit right there. The water will drain down from that tube, hit this gutter right here, and then it'll just drain down through here when it's filled. So kind of as a solution to not have to run that drain tube the whole way. All right, so here's the bedroom that this is going in, and I'm not doing it centered. You can see here, here's the bedroom. This is the back wall. This is right to the back where the unit's going to be, outside unit's going to be just around this corner out there. So this I just mounted into 2 studs. I've got 3 into that stud, 3 screws into that stud. This hole drilled out. I'm going to put my sleeve in here and get the unit ready and prepared to get hung on the wall. Okay, so here's how the wiring goes at the unit. So I've got 3 lines going in because I have 2. These come from the indoor units. This is the electrical from the breaker box and the main breaker over there. So I've got these are the wires coming in. There's just 3 coming in. The red and the black, they're both hot. Line 1, line 2 in. So it doesn't matter which color goes where, and then green ground right there. So that's the 3 wires from the breaker. And then I have 2 sets of wires. There's 4 each. These ones are labeled, but you want to make sure it just matches the indoor unit. So you just do, this is 1, 2, and 3. I have red, white, black. On one side of the wires, they're actually labeled, so you can't really mix them up. Just take a picture. I just took a picture of how I wired it on the inside, just like this, red, white, black, and then the green one's just going to ground. There's a couple grounds here. So I've got C. This one can actually accommodate 3 indoor units, so that's why there's a B, C, and then there's an A. And my A is my, I'm using A and C on the unit here. So I've got my pipes. Here's A, here's C, there's B could go right here. This part's pretty easy. I'll show you how I did the wiring at the breaker box. That was a little more, I had more questions on that than this. This one's pretty straightforward. All right, I want to show you how I hooked up the electrical. So I'm at my panel. So here's my outside compressor unit, and then I had to get power from my electrical panel here. So if I take off just take a few screws off, take that off. This is where my MiniSplit is. I have the breaker off right now. I didn't record a lot of like the step-by-step. I want to just give you an idea of what I had to do because this was what I had the most questions on. So I had to add this panel. This was actually an empty slot in my box. So I was able to add this 30 amp breaker. Now it's a 240 volts. You can see there's two poles here. And I've got a red and a black wire going from that. That's a 10 gauge wire. So 10 gauge individual connectors that are going down into my conduit. This conduit here is the one that's going to my MiniSplit. And then I also have a ground. So you only need 3 wires. You just need 2 hots, marked red and black, and then a green wire. So those 3 are the ones coming out of here. So green goes to the ground bar, and then those 2 just go to the poles on the breaker here, and then this is just snapped in. So when you're using the conduit, you want to make sure you're using the smooth 90 degree turn. So I just dug down a foot, ran the conduit here over to here, and then you'll just need to get one of these. These are just an AC disconnect box. You can get this at Home Depot or Amazon. And here's how this is wired here. So this is coming in from the breaker. So I've got a hot coming from the breaker. So it says line and line. So this is where it come in from the breaker. So the 2 hot leads from the breaker. And then my ground's going to the ground bar. And then these 2 are the middle ones are the load. They're going to my AC unit, MiniSplit. And this one's going to the MiniSplit. Now this one here, this whip, this you can get these pre-bought. You can get them, 3 or 4 feet long. and it just connects in here. The wire's already included inside of this, and then this just ran up into my MiniSplit unit here, and then you saw how I wired it there. When you get these disconnect boxes, you want to make sure you also buy the fuses. The fuses aren't included. You need these 2 fuses to connect to complete the circuit on this, and then this panel just goes over it like that. All right, guys, so it's actually been a couple months. I've got this thing all up going and working, and I want to give you some information on how I got this completed, because I actually have even been hesitant to post a video because I didn't complete this on my own, and I'll tell you some reasons why and kind of what happened when coming to get this installed. So if you can see here, the hardest part was running everything up in the attic and getting it down and installed, but there's 2 line sets for each unit. So I have 2 indoor units, so there's a small and a large copper line on each, and these need to be routed to this area right here of the unit. You can see this one here is my bedroom, the bedroom unit. So it comes out, it's a 16-foot line set. It comes down, it turns there, it turns there, it turns there, it turns. So it makes like, 3 different 90-degree turns. When I was originally trying to do this myself, I tried to bend the line around this corner right here, and it's like crimped it, and basically I ruined the line. So I had to order a new line set. And what I did was I was able just to disconnect it from right there, and I just had it hanging out right here. I just had that line hanging out right there. What I did is I actually called on my local classifieds. I posted a listing, and I just asked if there's an HVAC tech that wants some side work that could help me complete the run of the lines, like bend the lines, cut the lines, because the lines were all too long. This set right here is from my attic. That's 75 feet long. This is 16 feet long. I have 90 feet of line set. This unit comes charged with refrigerant. However, they're not enough for 90 feet, and so these lines need to be vacuumed, pressure tested, and then charged with refrigerant, and that's a little more involved than I was willing to get involved, because I didn't have the proper tools. I'd have to buy a vacuum pump, manifold gauges, like cutting tools for the copper lines, flaring tools, and so I was probably going to be in at $200, not including the extra refrigerant needed, which I didn't know how much I needed. That stuff's expensive, and so I had a guy come out and he helped me. He basically he ran all the lines to right here. He cut them off. He flared them, connected them, and then he pressure tested the lines. He vacuumed all really good, made sure there was no leaks at all, and then he was able to use the calculations to figure out how much refrigerant was needed to add these lines now that I had 90 feet of line set. And that worked pretty good, and so I'm glad that I hired him. So guys, this isn't a complete DIY, and so that's what I would recommend doing, is if you're looking at this and you don't know how to properly cut these lines, flare them, vacuum them, pressure test, you don't know how to do that like I didn't know how, then I would recommend just finding someone on the side to come do that. And I paid the guy $400, and that included all the refrigerant, included him running the lines, pressure testing, and everything. So I thought that was fair, because it was going to be probably at least $200 in parts or tools anyways to do that myself, and I probably wouldn't have done it right anyways. And to finish up the install, I have these flexible conduits here. That one is coming from the power. These 2 are the black power lines coming from the inside units. You can see right here from the inside unit, I have my two copper lines right here, and then along with that is the power line, and it goes into this flexible conduit, and I have just some silicone to seal it as it's going in, just so it makes kind of for a more complete installation here. So that's what I did with both of those power cords, and then I have those connected in here like I showed. I also have the base sitting on this is like a plastic base made for these MiniSplit units. So I ordered that on Amazon. I just kind of buried it, and I have the outside unit just sitting on there. I still need to kind of anchor it down. It's pretty solid. Like I can just get some lag screws and just screw it in there. And then I'm also finishing up the line set covers here. So I just got these painted, and I just need to finish up. There's some flexible pieces that go there, and I need to straighten that one out. And so I'm just working on a few miscellaneous things on this, but let me show you inside how these units work. Right here in the bedroom, this is one of the units here. These work fantastic. Now the remote control is how we control the things. It has this little Alexa enabled, it's like a it's basically just like a flash drive thing you hook in. I don't even know how to hook that in. I haven't done anything with that, and so I just control it with the remote controls. So this one and my upstairs one are just controlled. So right now I have it set at temperature, so there's a mode button that can change it from heat to cool to, I think there's a fan. There's a dry, heat, fan, auto, or cool. So I usually, in the summer right now, I keep it on cool. I set my temperature right here, up or down. And then I have my fan. I've hit the fan speed here. I hit the fan. That I can do it on auto, which I usually keep it on auto. Or you can change it 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. One thing I do when I first turn it on, if I don't have it on and it's warm in my room, and let's say it's 9 o'clock at night and just kind of settling down, getting ready for bed, I'll put turbo mode on here. Hit turbo and the fan speed goes full speed, and it cools as fast as possible. So I'll usually just keep it on the fan on auto, and then I'll just manually turn turbo on and off with this button right here. One thing that's interesting, I didn't know this before, but see I have it at 75 degrees. If I set it at 76, it displays the temperature up here on the unit itself. Once it reaches 76 degrees, it does not turn off. It stays open and it stays blowing, but the compressor won't blow. So you're still going to have the fan going. So if I have turn the turbo off and I have it on auto and I have it set at 76 degrees, it's going to be blowing all day long until I physically turn this thing off. And I thought maybe that like once it reached my set temperature that it would just turn off, just kind of like my regular whole house AC system does. It doesn't. It stays on, which isn't bad. It just slowly blows air. It's just circulating air in the room, so it's not a bad thing. It is going to use a little bit of power, but not a whole lot because the compressor outside's not on. It's only blowing the fan only, so just a fan on low. And then if the room warms up to say 77 degrees, it'll kick on. The compressor will kick on, and then it'll start blowing cold air out of this. There is a function called swing right here, and if you push that, I push the swing. See how this thing's moving up and down like this? So it's kind of it'll move up and down to kind of give more of a whole room. I never use this function. I don't really see the benefit of it because it's blowing the air just down and up. So I usually have that off. At night when you're sleeping, you can hit the LED. You can hit the LED button and it turns off the LED on the unit, so that way there's no light shining in the room if you want that off. I haven't done much with this humidity button or the eco button, but that's kind of how I've used it over the last little bit. So usually in the summertime I'm just keeping on, like, I'll keep this on, and this is the bedroom. I'll just keep it at 77, 76 degrees. At night I'll turn it down to 70 degrees. This thing blows cold air. I mean, it's cold, it's super quiet, and it works fantastic. So this has been a great addition to this bedroom, because this is the only bedroom on this main floor that anyone's sleeping in at night. All my kids sleep in the basement where it's already nice and cool anyways, and so instead of cranking up the air conditioner, the main air conditioning unit, to keep just one room cold, we just use this one specifically, and it keeps it cool, and I feel like it saved on power bill. Alright guys, so I know this wasn't like a step-by-step DIY process. I left out some of the steps where I didn't record the guy like finishing everything up for me, but hopefully this at least gives you some information on what steps are involved to install this. And what I would recommend doing is installing much of it yourself as you can. Like I probably did 90% of the work myself. When I was getting quotes for this system, I was getting quotes for anywhere from $6,200 up to $7,900 at the highest quote. I got like 3 or 4 different quotes. I thought that was ridiculous. I ended up paying for this unit, this is $2,300 on Senville's website. I had to pay another $200 for an extra line set, and then I had to buy another one for the one that I bent over there. So about $200 there. And then about another $200 to $250 for the electrical supplies. I had to buy the 10-gauge wire, the disconnect box, the new breaker, the conduit, the flexible conduit here. And I had to buy this like pad that it's sitting on, the plastic pad. So there's probably another, a little bit of expense. So I figure I'm into this about $2,700, and then I had to pay a guy $400 to do this. So just right around $3,000 for this unit to get installed. That's half of what it was I was getting quotes for. So I feel that it was a win, even though I had to pay someone, $400 to help me finish it. I still came out ahead. I still saved half of the cost to get this installed. It's been awesome, you know, using this thing in the 2 rooms that I have this in. It's kept them extremely cool, very comfortable. There's silent operation. Saved me electricity to customize it how I want in that room. So I'd highly recommend this system if you're looking at this. Guys, like I said, I'd recommend doing as much of the work you can yourself, because a lot of when I was getting quotes from HVAC companies, you know, running 75 feet of line set through my attic and down the soffit, that's a lot of work, and a lot of it was labor intensive. A lot of this is pretty straightforward. It just takes work and labor, and that's what you're getting charged for when you're hiring a company to do, if they were to do all this for you. So if you can get all of it done yourself and then just sub it out what you can't do yourself, like I did, I think that's probably a good way to do this, and I'm super happy with this. Guys, I'll leave links to all of the products and tools, this unit here, anything that I used, I'll reference that. I'll leave my links down below. But guys, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to leave any comments down below. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.